Diabetes testing? It's all the same. Nothing changes.
Then try this. Freestyle Light Blood Glucose Test Strip.
Sure, but it's not gonna... Wow.
Yep, that's the patented Freestyle Zipwick design.
Did it just target the blood?
Yeah, drew it right in. The test starts fast. You need just a third the blood of one touch.
That is different. So Freestyle Light test strips make testing...
Easy?
Easy.
Great. Call or click. We'll send you strips and a meter free.
Free is good.
Freestyle Light test strips. Call or click today.
The Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial officially opened to the public today, marking two firsts for America. It's the first dedicated to an African American on the National Mall, and it's the first memorial to honor a person who did not serve as president. The memorial takes us back to King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech, and all these years later makes it timely to assess where we stand as a country on the issue of race. Joining me now is Harvard Law professor Randall Kennedy. He's author of The Persistence of the Color Line, Racial Politics in the Obama Presidency. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you so much for having me.
So congratulations on your new book. Where are we 3 years into the Obama administration on the issue of race?
Well, we're in a complicated place. I mean, it's a remarkable thing that a black American has become president of the United States, and that says a lot of good things about our democracy. On the other hand, Barack Obama had to overcome his blackness to become president, and he has had to overcome his blackness in order to govern.
Say more about what you mean by that, overcoming his blackness both to win and to govern.
Well, I mean, in order to win, he had to work a lot harder to become president. He had to win despite the continuing prejudice that continues to face black Americans. And insofar as his governance is concerned, there are lots of reasons why people are against Obama. Partisanship, religious reasons, ideological reasons, but race is one reason, one ingredient in the tremendous backlash against the Obama presidency as well.
And you're clearly right that it remains very complicated. On the one hand, the astounding achievement and the kind of matter-of-factness that we have a black president in the United States, and yet I have black friends who, when the president felt compelled to produce his birth certificate some months ago, felt that this was the kind of outrage that kind of meant that things hadn't changed as much as we thought they have.
Well, I guess it all depends on what your expectations are. I think the great mass of black Americans anyway have a realistic view. It was a remarkable thing for Barack Obama to win the presidency. I mean, after all, in the mid-20th century, it was still the case that in a large part of the United States, black people were still excluded from electoral politics, either by legal means or by just sheer terrorism. And so in a lifetime, a black man has become president, and so, that's a very important change. And that could not have happened but for tremendous change in racial attitudes in America.
Now,
that being said, it is still the case that black people, whether you're the president of the United States on down, black people still face, racial impediments.
Now, you're a harsh critic at some points of President Obama in your book, as well as an avowed admirer. How would you describe where you've been disappointed in the president?
Well, I think that the president has not used his bully pulpit enough to educate Americans and to shape the ideological landscape. For instance, let me just give you one example. When he introduced Sonia Sotomayor to be his nominee for the Supreme Court, in introducing her, he said that he wanted to select people who would interpret the law, not make the law. Well, that's one of the talking points for the right wing. The president didn't need to say that. Everybody knows, or should know, that judicial figures, especially Supreme Court justices, are essentially policymakers. Everybody knows that, and he should have, not essentially thrown that ideological, that rhetorical bone to the right. He seems to have a tendency to do that.
Now, I want to play, we've got a soundbite from Congressman Maxine Waters, who was talking about the fact that blacks and other minorities have borne the brunt of this Great Recession. I want to play it for you and then get your reaction.
Our people are hurting. The unemployment is unconscionable. We don't know what the strategy is. We don't know why on this trip that he's in the United States now, he's not in any black communities. We don't know that.
What do you make of Representative Waters and what she's voicing as a concern from at least some parts of black America?
A couple things. First of all, I think that the sentiments that she expressed and the obvious anger behind those sentiments are quite marginal in black America. That's number one. Number two, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, is well aware of everything that Congresswoman Waters was talking about. He's well aware of that, but he has foes in his way that are frankly stopping him from pushing the United States in a more progressive direction. It seems to me you have to understand the limits on him and the dilemma that he faces. If he were to act in the way that she wants him to act, his chances of regaining the White House would be diminished greatly. I think most black Americans recognize that. They recognize the dilemma that he faces, and therefore they act and say things that are a bit more realistic than what the Congresswoman said.
Now, one of the issues that you take issue with the president is his reluctance to endorse gay marriage. Say more about that and how you contrast that, or from the point of view of someone who's come up, as Barack Obama has, understanding the importance of civil rights.
Well, I mean, with respect to gay marriage, we're talking about a discrimination against a group in the law. This is not just people being prejudiced. It's not just private individuals being prejudiced. We are now talking about an invidious discrimination in the law. A person who has the civil rights background of Barack Obama, a person who has, mobilized the memory of the civil rights revolution in the 1960s, it seems to me should have a bit more empathy for gay liberation and should do all that he can to help out on that front. I think that the president has not pushed as far on that front as he could, and as he could, staying within the bounds that an electoral politician, has to stay within. He has to get reelected, but I think Barack Obama on this front has been, frankly, more timid, more cautious than public opinion would require him to be.
And yet, I want to put up a quote we've got from Senator Tom Coburn, just to show or remind folks of the attitudes and obstacles that still may exist. He had, this is Tom Coburn the other day saying the president's very bright, loves his country, but when he goes on, he said his intent is to create dependency because it works so well for him. As an African-American male, Coburn said, Obama received tremendous advantage from a lot of these programs. Now, apart from that being factually wrong, I think, in the case of Obama in a lot of ways, it does show a certain depth of sentiment that is not far from the surface among a non-trivial part of the population. You're someone who honors both the pragmatic need for Obama to operate as a politician, as well as the goal that he act in principled ways to move the ball down the field. How do you view that in light of what Coburn said?
Listen, I think that what you just read is the sort of reaction that Obama faces, and frankly, that's just a light version of it. It's a lot rougher out there, and I think that people who are critical of the president, and I'm critical of the president, obviously in certain ways, as I've already voiced, have to always be attentive to the pragmatic, the practical realities on the ground. And progressives, in being critical of the president, have to realize that basically we live in a center-right leaning country, especially on cultural issues, And when we push the president, we have to recognize the limits that he faces. What progressives have to do is change the landscape within which Barack Obama must move. If we could push things further to the left, I think Barack Obama would come behind us. But progressives are going to have to move things and allow that to happen.
All right, that's wise counsel from Randall Kennedy. We're going to have to leave it there for now. The book is The Persistence of the Color Line, a subtle and important treatment of race in America 3 years into the Obama presidency. Thanks, Professor, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
Coming up on